Hello and welcome to X-Men issue 13. And our writer is Jed MacKay, penciler Netho Diaz. Sean Parsons is on the ink and colorist Flutes Sujo, and letters by VC's Clay and Cows. Apologies if I said any names incorrectly. This side is the main cast, which is the X-Men, which is a comic that I review on a regular basis. So our story begins after Storm's shattering conclusion with Cyclops down. They're in San Francisco on good old Utopia, which was once a mutant homeland that has been shattered. I love the little cross bits up there. So it is down to Psylocke to take charge. Very, very well, might I add. And it just goes back to her growth through the Krakoa era and into leading the Hellions team. So she is perfect for standing up for things. I feel like Illyana perhaps should be at some point taking charge as well. But they all play a part in this issue. So there is a psychic bleed coming from Xavier that is affecting all the people on San Francisco. It's only the X-Men outside of Beast that managed to get away with it. So Professor Xavier realizes that there is a sort of subroutine put into Beast's brain, which is Quentin protecting the rest of the team. He puts this in so if somebody tries to interfere with them, he can come in. And he doesn't need to monitor them constantly, but it means that he gets sort of like a trigger warning, and it allows him time to fight. So it is Omega Psychic versus Omega Psychic. And yeah, this is the sort of stuff that has been on the cards for decades. Let's think back to New X-Men, Quentin's riot back at Xavier. So I like this. I love the fact that Quentin's growth allows him to say, damn it, Professor, I'm going to stand up to you. Meanwhile, back on Storm's ship, Juggernaut is taking a beating. However, that's not going to be enough to beat him. And quite simply, he says, you think this is the worst beating that I've ever had? And it instantly, I went back to actually Onslaught, because that was probably the first time that, even though the X-Men defeated Juggernaut, that was the first time he was scared and took a real beating. But actually, he goes back to his father, and we refer back to that abuse that we know that he suffered at the hands of his old man, Kurt Marco. And, he even says one time he went a bit colorblind. So let's go. Because he can take it. Meanwhile, Magneto and that are on the outside. They all want to chip him. Magneto reminds the young man, Ben, you caused enough trouble in San Francisco. We don't need you there. And Zorn, if Xavier gets control of you or it releases, you're going to release your star on the world. So Illyana nips in and takes the Magneto helmet, which makes perfect sense because that allows her to get Beast back out of Xavier's control and back on track at the task in hand. Meanwhile, we have this beautiful, I've got to say, there is some beautiful art in this. I love this sort of background psychic battle going on. It's absolutely spot on. And we get Xavier sort of doing a teaching thing. An alpha versus alpha, they have no upper power limit. So the ultimate result is a cellmate. The only thing that would change that is, well, perhaps experience. That is the only way. And Xavier has a lot of that. So he rips Quentin back to his core. We see him before the pink highlights and the rebellious attitude. Meanwhile, the wind is blowing on hard, and Juggernaut he's pretty much holding his own. However, weather is just the controlling of various temperatures, which Temper can control, and she eliminates that. However, that is not all that Storm has, so she creates some sort of lightning swords, which Magic's quite excited to fire back up, so they're back into it. And Juggernaut says, my helmet got smashed in, and Ileana, quite rightly so, reminds him, it's part of your soul, man. Just recreate it. So, boom, he's back to, I've got my helmet protected. So, once again, we go back to, like I said, I'm loving this sort of gray art, etc. And you know where this is leading. He sort of strips him back. You were a clever, lonely boy, but that's all you were. A boy with a puzzle you're trying to solve, like any adolescent who, not everybody, but a lot of children go between their teenage years to adulthood, and they're trying to find what they are about, to find themselves. And Quentin's probably been doing that a long time, but we're in comic world, so it does take a long time. So there was no other outcome apart from Quentin potentially losing. However, Ileana is unable to stab Storm. Juggernaut goes in and gives a couple of little thumps in there. And one thing that I meant to say is Psylocke referred back to Grey Malcolm when Xavier did control her. He wanted to get a bit of, not revenge on it, but she didn't want to let that happen again. However, she is in another battle compared to Quentin, because Quentin is a little bit further ahead in terms of those controls. So she loses her next thing. So Maggot is in this sort of cocoon, which leaves him vulnerable. So Psylocke sort of says, hey, you need to back off. Back to the Quentin. Quentin, this is kind of ironic that Quentin is on an X that the, what are they called? Damn it, Death Strike's little goons. It's not coming to me. That's going to bug the hell out of me. That's really bugging the hell out of me. Really sorry, that completely threw me off. The Reavers, which is something that 9 times out of 10 just sprouts out of my mouth. Not today. So when they put Wolverine up on there. So I find it ironic that Xavier's done this to Quentin. However, Quentin is not without his dirty tricks. Basically, he poked around somebody else's mind. Somebody a little bit more devious than him. The late... Oh, no, wait a minute. Cassandra Nova's still alive, right? And he managed to get a good old, I guess, a psychic imprint off her to go in there and surprise him. And wow, that is quite a decent surprise. So pretty much he is taken out in the psychic world by the looks of it. Meanwhile, Psylocke is going to do whatever she needs to until Oro Monroe, the real Oro Monroe, comes flooding out and takes responsibility, because she may be a goddess, but she doesn't know, she won't let people be wronged and killed and should feel shame on herself. So yeah, so Xavier comes flying out with the bugs, because we know that Nova has a good bugs room. Hank shoves the Magneto helmet on there, rendering him useless whilst putting him to sleep. So, yeah, for Hank to be able to do that, he needed Xavier to remove his X helmet. So, and then they discussed the dirty trick, which Quentin is obviously boasting that he won. He's like, you used the dirty trick, right? He's like, yeah, I did. So, Storm comes out of it, and pretty much that is it. And she says and Psylocke pretty bold, actually. Psylocke is pretty bold in this issue in terms of, she says, I know you like to resolve things with knife fights, so if you ever want to, I'm here to do that with you. And there is still something certainly going on with Storm that potentially could unfold later on in that run. I really actually enjoyed reading that issue. Cyclops is awake. Mission is complete. There are no casualties. We need to follow up on Storm at some point. And Charles is heavily sedated. However, it's put the bold man down. X Factor will take it from here. So it's going to be, I guess, brother versus brother next. And once again, this event is continuing to be very enjoyable. Now, I do have part 5, which is X Factor, which I look forward to certainly hopefully get into in the next couple of days. I'm not going to let that drag on, but whilst I've got the issue in hand. So yeah, event is moving nicely. This new direction will certainly be interesting. We've only got 3 issues left after the X Factor issue, so we're not that far off the end. And I'm just wondering, when are we going to get to space? I guess it's in that big finale. After, you know, he perhaps rallies everybody, say, look, I need your help, come help me. But who knows? Will it be an X-Men coming together, or will it still be at each other's necks, so to speak? So I hope you like my video. If you do like my video, please support my channel by subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that subscribed to my channel already. Make sure you look after yourself. Very important these days. And as always, embrace the geekiness. Take care. Goodbye.